many buildings in Nelson, this one is rich in history. It was built in 1902 and at that time served as the post office and customs excise house. At some point there was even talk of tearing it down, but in the 1950s the city fathers decided it would make an ideal city hall. Since then, some restoration work has been done on the building, made possible by the lotteries. In fact, the lotteries have played and still do play a significant role in the city of Nelson. The Nelson Fire Hall, built in 1913, is a good example. A few years ago, before a grant from the BC Lottery Fund made restoration possible, the fire hall was in pretty bad shape. There were problems in the foundation. The roof leaked, and there was no insulation, so you can imagine just how high those heating bills were in midwinter. On top of these structural problems, there were also other problems. The brick exterior had been covered with a heavy coat of red paint that had to be removed to restore it back to its original appearance. According to project coordinator Bob Inwood, removing the paint turned into a 2-month project.
What we do there is to use a chemical, and you paint the chemical on, and then high water pressure blast. And in this particular case, the paint was stuck on so thoroughly that we had to actually use a pumice stone and hand polish every brick individually to get all the paint residue off of it. So that was quite an enormous task. We must have spent a good 6 to 8 weeks just going around the entire building, taking the old red paint off.
The crew also decided that the cap, which housed the hose dryers used up until the 40s, should be replaced. The project was taken on by a local woodworking class.
We didn't know quite how we were going to do it until an instructor from our local vocational college, who had a fine woodworking class, offered his students to reconstruct the tower. So they went up and took all the measurements, and using the old historic photos came up with plans and built it. And then it was all built intact and brought down here on a flat deck, and we had a giant 100-foot high crane that lifted it all up, and we all kept our fingers crossed that day that the measurements were right, and it just fell right down into place, and we felt really finished the job off, and brought the building back to the way it used to look.
Just a moment, please. Chief, it's regarding the fire alarm system at the Heritage Inn.
Hello. We're very proud of the outside appearance of it now, and I would suspect that if we didn't have that outside appearance, that perhaps the film Roxanne would not have been shot here.
Harry Sommerville has been Nelson's fire chief for a number of years. He's been around long enough to remember the restoration project and the filming of Roxanne. He believes that Hollywood producers chose his fire hall because of its old-time look. Sommerville credits the lotteries, and that means the lottery players, with the success of the project and the ongoing interest visitors have for his fire hall.
We still get a lot of visitors here in the community that sign our registration and want a tour through the hall. A direct result of that. Still a lot of people phoning me from all parts of the United States to ask for a souvenir. From the economic point of view, I think we do get a lot of tourists in the area as a result of that restoration. With very, very positive results for the entire community. I think it just makes us a little prouder city.
Nelson's fire hall wasn't the only building restored with the help of lottery players. As many as 90 turn-of-the-century buildings along Baker Street have carefully been refurbished.
Generally, what we try to do with the HARP funds through the lottery is to what we call stabilize the buildings. Like, a lot of these buildings have not had much basic maintenance work done on them for probably 50 to 70 years, so there's a lot of things that really needed a lot of work just to make sure that the buildings didn't deteriorate.
The restoration has given Nelson a quaint atmosphere, which Nelson residents feel good about.
I remember that when we first started the program, that a lot of people, I think like people almost everywhere in the province, didn't think too much of the province's history and the heritage buildings, but a lot of that was because the buildings were pretty tacky looking, but once they've been fixed up, everybody has really appreciated what it's done for the economy, and certainly the movie being filmed here just really capped that all off and let us know that we'd done the right thing.
It's also important to note that the BC lotteries indirectly helped Nelson's economy in a time when there was a lot of unemployment. Many Nelson residents were hired and trained in restoration techniques, giving full-time employment throughout the projects.
Right throughout town, certainly at a time when the economy was bad, the lottery grants, which amounted to over $500,000 in all of the heritage program, that was $500,000 matched by another $500,000 from the business owners that went pretty well directly into the local building trade economy. So it was a real boon for the area.
The lotteries, along with the Players of BC, also helped the restoration of the Capitol Theatre. The Capitol Theatre is 62 years old, but only recently was returned to its original appearance with the assistance of the lotteries. The theatre suffered a slow demise through the 50s and 60s when it was used as an auction hall and later as a real estate office. Today it looks much like it did back in the 20s. 5 years ago, the Capitol Theatre was gutted and rebuilt. It is the only performing arts theatre in the West Kootenays, and at this point is booked up many months in advance. It's another good example of how the BC Lotteries have played a significant role in helping Nelson. But more than just buildings have been restored with the help of lotteries and lottery players. This boat, which held world speed records through the 30s and 40s, was owned by longtime Nelson resident Louis Gilbert. Gilbert won the prestigious Kootenay Lake Trophy year after year. The Ladybird was built in 1922 and hasn't been raced since the late 50s. Recently, history buffs like Alan Ramsden decided the boat should be restored. The process was slow, but well worth it.
We spent some time with unskilled help just cleaning the inside out. The engine leaked a lot of oil over a period of years. All that oil was in the bottom of the hull. That was all washed out by hand and with brushes and detergent. Once that was cleaned up, we'd taken the old cedar strip deck off it, numbered all the pieces, set it aside.
With that task completed, a professional boat builder was located to complete the refurbishing. According to Ramsden, who remembers watching Gilbert race the Ladybird, the boat looks just like it did during its racing days.
And then, of course, the final finishing was done to the old traditional standards. It was hand sanded, hand varnished with the original varnish that was used on the boat, and finally buffed to a high finish. It was like rolling the dice. We got the money and we got the super person to restore it. So it was really satisfying.
BC Lotteries also helped construct permanent facilities for the Nelson Chamber of Commerce and Tourist and Business Information Centres. The Louis Maglio Building, named after a former Nelson mayor, was built to fit in with Nelson's heritage theme.
Ready? 1, 2, 3! Go, 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 go!
The Nelson Aquatic Centre is a busy place no matter what time of day it is. Over the course of a year, as many as 100,000 people visit this pool and gymnasium complex. It was built 14 years ago. Just last year, BC Lottery players helped pay for a new roof.
Our building at that time was nearly 13 years old, and we were having some leaking damage problems. We have such extreme colds and heat in the winter and summer that this is what happens to a roof. So we needed to do a new roof rather than just keep patching the old one.
Wilma says everyone appreciates lotteries helping them out.
We don't have any leaking problems. We have a nice new roof that will probably last us for quite a few more years down the line. Yeah. In a small community like ours is, it's really difficult to raise those kinds of funds without raising taxes, and we really didn't want to have to do that for the community.
Good for you! That was the best thing yet. Excellent.
Several travel grants made possible by the lotteries have also helped young Nelson swimmers. Travel grants make it possible for swimmers to attend meets and competitions outside the Kootenay area.
It's really difficult to keep the older children in swimming, in competitive swimming, because it's vital for them to go out and earn some money. But if they can get some financing to go to competitions, I think that this is really helpful for them.
Other lottery-funded travel grants have also benefited Nelson area skiers. A little financial boost often means young skiers can attend competitions at neighboring ski hills. What community would be complete without a civic centre? And Nelson is no exception. This facility was constructed in 1935, and until January 1989, it had not received any major upgrading. The lotteries helped with the upgrading, installation of a sound system in the main arena, and some new flooring. But this beautiful community nestled in the heart of the Kootenays has benefited from the BC lotteries in other ways. Advertising, for example. This Lotto 649 billboard has become a permanent fixture along Nelson's Anderson Street. Advertising like this is a direct boost to the local economy. The Lottery Corporation's own staff is also in the Nelson area.
Hi, Rob. How are you today? Good. How are you? Fine. Dale, you've done some advertising with us in the past.
Rob Hinitt spends all of his time working as the corporation's representative in the Kootenay district. His responsibilities include ensuring retailers are up to date on all lottery information, including new games, game changes, and upcoming advertising opportunities.
It'd be excellent for running promotions, this type of thing. Mention your name, mention the promotion. We'll pay for the lottery end of it and the promotion part of it. Yeah.
Retailer Dale Melnechuk enjoys the lottery business. He works hard at it, realizing that his commission is in direct relation to how many tickets he sells. Dale also employs part-time staff to help him out on weekends, one of the spin-offs of being in the lottery business. Rabeniuk is another busy Nelson retailer. Ron's success in the lottery business has been passed on to other local businesses. He got together with a local printer and came up with a ticket folder for his regular customers.
At Christmas time, we handed it out to all of the people that came in that bought lottery tickets, and the women especially really like it because they put it in their purse, and a lot of them use it every time they come in. They pull out their folder for their tickets.
Gale Higgins can tell you where some lottery dollars have gone in Nelson. He collected $906,000 last June, his share of a Lotto 649 jackpot. Gale says the windfall hasn't changed his lifestyle too much. He's still working at his upholstery shop, but has taken some time off to enjoy an extended vacation in Europe with his wife.
The only major cities we went into were Strasbourg and Heidelberg, and the rest we just toured, just drove around through the little villages and off some secondary roads, and kept off the Autobahn, except for one time, for a few minutes until I could get off it.
He's also purchased a new home since his win, and is planning another trip, this time to New Zealand. Most recently, lotteries have played a significant role in the BC Winter Games.
Good afternoon, Nelson Winter Games office.
This is my
For the same an event the entire community looked forward to. Games President Lloyd Miskiman says the games, funded by lottery dollars, help to bring a community together.
We start off in very small numbers. Then there seems to be this enthusiasm that develops within the community. People start taking pride in what they're doing, feel good about it.
So as you can see, the lotteries and the players of Lotto BC, the Pick BC Keno, and the Express have played and still do play a significant role in the city of Nelson. And once Nelson residents discover the role BC lotteries have in Nelson's development, they realize that lotteries are doing a lot of good things in their community. You know where the lottery money's spent in Nelson?
No, I don't.
Mm-hmm. The BC Winter Games is one example, and buildings like the one just over your shoulder are an example. We helped refurbish that with a lottery grant.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that's a good way of spending lottery dollars?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just wondering if you can tell me if you know where the lottery dollars are spent in Nelson.
Well, I'm not exactly sure. Of course, Capitol Theatre, and
That's right.
I think the Civic Centre got some, didn't they?
Hey, first off, Al, I'm just wondering if you can tell me where some lottery money has gone in this area.
To the area? Boy, you caught me.
What about the sound system here in the Civic Arena?
Sound system, the upgrading of the badminton hall and areas and that like that.
I'm wondering if you can tell me if you know where the lottery money is being spent in the Nelson area.
Couldn't name it offhand, but I see it in the paper quite often when it's coming into this area.
There's a new sound system just been put in time for the Winter Games here in the Civic Centre, for example.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah.
Think that's a good way of spending the lottery money?
I think so. I got 10 grand of their money. I won $10,000 out of it.
Do you know where the lottery dollars are being spent in the Nelson area, Al?
Yeah, I was going for the Winter Games in Nelson here.
And also the sound system here in the Civic Arena. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. Somebody just told me they had a new sound system in here. It's really nice.
That's a good way of spending the lottery money?
Oh yeah, definitely. If I can't win it, might as well put it to a good cause. Eh?